Hi everyone, it's Ileana and I have a quick video to share with you today. I'm going to start off by using the ThermoWeb Pixie Spray. I've sprayed my stencils so that they're able to stick to my cardstock. It doesn't leave a residue or anything like that, so I like to do that instead of having to tape down my stencils to my work surface. I have two different stencils here and they're both from Altenew. One is the grid stencil and the other one is the half-tone stencil. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use some texture paste from Ranger. Mine feels a little thick. It could be because of how old it is. I haven't pulled it out in a long time. I'm just using a metal spatula to push it around. I am not covering the entire surface of my cardstock. I just kind of want it to look like it's fading off, and so I'm just going to spread it around with the edge. When this is all completely spread out, I try to fill in so that there's not an awkward gap. Once that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and use this ThermoWeb scraper, and it will help you to get an even coat on your stencil. And when you pull it off, you'll be able to see how smooth it is. Now for the other one, I'm just going to go ahead and do the reveal. So this one is the halftone. As you can see, it's kind of hard to see because it's on a white background. But anyways, so here are the stamps that I'm going to be using for my focal image. I'm using the Altenew HOPE stamp set. And I've already got everything mounted onto my MISTI. I went ahead and I created a template with the negative piece. And I went ahead and mounted all my stamps. And I got it all lined up, made sure it was perfect. And now I'm just going to do an assembly card. So I am using the Cherry Blossom ink set from Altenew. It already has all the color combinations thought out for you. Originally what I did was I stamped each one. So I did multiples. So I stamped like 4 of each and then I moved on to the other color. What I'm showing you here is just doing one stamp at a time. I did not wait for the ink to dry in between steps, so it does look a little bit different than if you wait for each one to dry on its own. The reason why it looks a little bit different is because the ink is still wet, so sometimes it could bleed a little bit. So you might like that look, you might not. You'll have to determine for yourself. So for the leaves, I'm going to be using the Greenfields. That set has a black ink, which I did not use. Right here, you're seeing me struggle. There was a hair on my stamp. I decided not to stamp it again because there will be another layer and it'll cover up that imperfection. I did try to space out my little bud so that I was able to use an ink pad in between. So I just kind of thought about placement when I created my template. And you can leave them mounted like that, and that way you can make multiples, as many as you want. Now for the the bud, I used the middle 2 colors from the Cherry Blossom. And I ended up making 2 leaves and 2 buds for every flower. So you could see these are all the multiples that I've made. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to be using this Gina stamp set. It is called Peony Wishes. I really liked the font in the sentiments, so I'm going to be using a Happy Birthday and a So Thankful stamp set. So I've prepped my black cardstock with some anti-static powder, and now I'm just going to heat emboss it with some alabaster ink. I wasn't too terribly careful about stray. I could have done a little bit of a better job to make sure that there wasn't any stray embossing powder where it shouldn't have been, but I was kind of just wanting to get things done. I am going to remove some of the stray with a tiny little spotter brush. I'm going to go ahead and heat set my sentiments. And once that's done, I'm going to pull out my cut-a-line and I'm just going to trim everything out. Now there is not much space between the edge of the paper and this sentiment, but you could see the cut-a-line will cut out even the thinnest shaving. I'm just using the 1/16 line all the way around and lining it up. Once that's all done, I'm going to prep my panel. I did trim it down just a little bit. It's a little bit smaller than an A2 card front, just so that there's a border around it. I've added some foam tape to the back for a little bit of dimension, and I'm going to add that to my card base. Now, to do the arrangement, I'm just going to follow the example on the back of the packaging just because I don't want to think about it too much. And so I'm just adding everything just like the example on the back. And I'm just going to put the sentiment just down there. I've already mounted everything, and I've even added some Studio Katia Clear Drops 2 and some Papertrey ink raindrops. And I've even sprayed this with my sheer shimmer spray. And here are the different cards that I've made. I played around with the different stencils that I had to see which one I liked best, and I just basically showed you the two that I enjoyed the most, which were the grid stencil and the halftone. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Have a great day.